blessings. Welcome to my channel, Pizzo's Perfection, AuthorTube, WriterTube, BookTube. We talk all things books and writing. And this video is what I'm loving in Kid Lit. What I'm loving in Kid Lit. And I think this is number 3 or 4. I'll put it in the title for sure in case you're viewing these in order. What I'm loving in Kid Lit. I'm so glad you joined me. It's summertime. It's summertime. And this is going to be a two-part video because I am loving so many great books I'm loving in Kid Lit. So this will be a two-part because there's a special anniversary that's happening in our country right now, in our world. And so I want to make sure your young ones have a resource and an outlet to those books that will speak to that anniversary. So keep watching all the way to the end so that you can see what you should be buying based on this fabulous anniversary that's happening around our country. Okay? All right, so let's get started. I have the books right here. And the first book is Blackout by John Rocco. So this is Blackout by John Rocco. I think I'm pronouncing that R-O-C-C-O. I'm terrible with pronouncing names. R-O-C-C-O. But this is Blackout. It's definitely a Scholastic. Part of my job, part of my current position is that I give books to children everywhere I go. And I typically use 2 resources. I use Scholastic and I use First Books. And because I can get some discounts and some deals on those books. But one of the fabulous things about them is that they are accessible. I'm all about access, meaning, you know, typically a child can afford a hardcover book and it's much more expensive to afford a hardcover book. So to have a beautiful book that is a little less expensive because it's paperback is really important to me. And as parents, you can order from Scholastic and First Books just as easily as I can. But in that, it's important for me to know what's wonderful. If you hear that beautiful sound in the background, that's the rain. Oh, nothing like a summertime rain coming down. And it's coming down really, really good. It's been doing these big, huge burst of showers, and then all of a sudden it's totally clear and totally beautiful outside. So, but I love this book, Blackout. I love this book, and it has a little bit of connection to that wonderful event that's going on across our nation. But this is called Blackout. One of the things I love about it is that it highlights an interracial family. And I'm the wife of a interracial family, the mom within an interracial family. So that, and it's very subtle. It's very subtle. I had to keep looking to say, is it an interracial family? Maybe it's not. It's very subtle. It's not a political hidden message, but it just represents a part of our community, right? So it's an interracial family. It's beautifully illustrated. It's vibrant. The author and the illustrator is the same person. I love that about it. The hues play with muted tones. I love that. The shadows of light and dark are just all throughout the book. And one of the things that I love most about this book, that I was drawn to most, it almost has an old newspaper comic feel, like with the frames, and almost like he muted the tones so that there was some black and white coming through, bleeding through some of the images. It's sparse wording. You can read this very quickly, but the reality is the illustrations are so rich and say so much that you'll stay on the page a little bit longer than the words that are on the page would allow you to, or you would need to based on the words on the page. It's extremely expressive. I love that. And it's surprising. It does have some surprising elements to it within the story, and I love that also. So that's the cover. It's blackout. I'm going to show 1 or 2 illustrations that really speak to how powerful the images are within the story. And because that cover is so dark, here's the inside cover, blackout. Isn't that fabulous? Fabulous. And then here's one of those images. Inside, everyone was busy. And see how quick that was read, but you would definitely take much longer to read through that. You would take much longer to read through that. So that is Blackout by John Rocco. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful read to be able to get for your young ones' bedtime story. Great, 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 great. All right, let's go on to the next one. The next one is really just, it has this reminiscent of times past feel to it. So it's near and dear. My godparents had 6 children, and my godmother stayed home. She was a stay-at-home mom, and my godfather, he worked on trains. He was a train engineer, but he also had this huge paper route that the kids kind of did as they got older. They took it over. I mean, I remember going to their house and there being this stack and stack and stack of paper, newspapers that they were tying and connecting and folding so that they could toss them. And he had a station wagon, and we would pile into the station wagon with the back door hatch open, and he would drive through the blocks and we would toss out the newspapers. So this has a beautiful reminiscent of the past feel for me, but it's so relatable for kids today. It's still very relatable for kids today. It's a great story that is not on the nose. It's not on the nose. It doesn't tell you every single thing that is happening. And there's some moments of surprise within the story. The illustrations are vibrant. They're beautiful. They're beautiful. And I love, love, love the way the light is played with in this book, because we know typically a paper route begins very early in the morning, and then it goes until the sun comes up. So there is a play on light within this. I love the way the sky variations move throughout the story also, so you can see some of that. It's just really great. So this is The Paperboy, story and paintings by Dave Pilkey. And I'm pretty sure this is the same author of Captain Underpants, which was a huge fan favorite of all of my kids when they were younger. And if you're a parent or a grandparent or auntie or uncle, and you're trying to get your reluctant readers to read, Captain Underpants 1 has 1 million in the series. So if they like the first one, they'll read all the way through. And I wasn't a big fan of it just because it's really silly. Really, really silly. But I bought the whole series for my kids because they would read through, even though it doesn't look like it's high level vocabulary, it very much is. The vocabulary is exceptional on it. I think it falls in the 6th, 7th grade level, even though it's graphically like a comic book almost. But it's excellent, and kids love that series. So this is that same illustrator author, I'm pretty sure. This is a Caldecott honor. Remember, we're talking about Caldecott is the highest level. Go back and look at my awards, book awards. I have the voice still, book awards. So go back and look and you'll see what a Caldecott honor book is for illustrations. But this is an honor book, so it has some bling on the front, which is very nice. But I'll show you 1 or 2 illustrations of it. And the dog in it is a little reminiscent of Ezra Jack Keats' Peter dog, because it's a hot dog, kind of a pot-belly hot dog. But here's the dark, where he's playing on that light a little bit. playing on the light. I feel like the kid sleeps in the attic because of the way this is shaped. And then when he turns on the light, you still see the darkness around the house, but inside you see his light shining and you see that light. So that's really cool. I love that. And then dark again because the house itself is dark. The house itself is dark. So I love the way he plays on light and dark. And it's just a very, very reminiscent, relatable story. I just feel like a lot of families could have some extensive talks about what life was when newspapers were around in a major way, and it was the only source of news information for many, many people, and how many families, you know, developed their reading skills because they read the newspaper every single day, and how it's sort of, you know, an industry that seems to be fighting to stay alive. I think there's a lot in this book that families could share and talk about when we talk about, you know, memories of the past. So I really love this book, The Paperboy. I'm loving it. All right, here's another one. This is Lola Reads to Leo. It's by Anna McQuinn, illustrated by Rosalind Beardshaw. Anna McQuinn, illustrated by Rosalind Beardshaw. Lola has a whole series, another fan favorite. Lola has another series. Typically when I go to events, I set out books, a whole table of books, maybe 50 or so that there's choice. I believe in children choosing. In school, we know oftentimes they have to read a book that's required, but I believe the more you allow them to choose a book, the more they will challenge themselves to read that book, even if it's at a higher level, and the more they will discover what they like on their own. Everywhere I go, I see parents hovering. Don't get that one, baby. Maybe this one. You sure you can read that? Why you want that? Let them get the book. Let them get the book, okay? We're trying to build readers here. So this is a complete narrative. It is a beginning to the end story. You get the full scope of what happens within Lola wanting to read to Leo, the new baby brother. I love that it really has some elements in it, not political, but just very subtle, but reality. And I love that. One of that is that there's an image of her mother nurses Leo. When it's time to feed him, on the words say feed, but on the page, you see mom nursing Leo. I love that. Dad is very hands-on. I love that. This is an African-American family that's portrayed in all of the Lola books. And so I love that also. It's very endearing, very, very endearing, just sweet. And over and over and over again, every community I'm in, I see kids select Lola books. She's always one of the first ones to go off my table. So there's a whole bunch of them, and you can read a lot of them. It's a fan favorite. And then I like that the illustrations are definitely vibrant on the page, So I'll show you the one. So this is the one page where it talks about while mommy feeds him, and there he is nursing. Mommy is feeding and he's nursing. We don't see a bottle. And so I just love that. I love that element there. And I love how sweet it is. We get a lot of books about, which are needed because I have kids who didn't like each other coming through. You know, the whole angst and the whole competitiveness and jealousy over a baby brother or a baby sister coming in. But this story really is just really sweet, sweet modeling when a sibling loves being a sibling. I was like that. My sister wanted a baby sister and she got a baby sister. And so it's a really sweet, endearing story about when a sibling loves having another sibling is really helpful. So Lola Reads to Leo. Very nice, very nice. All right, the next book is, I highlighted this author in maybe one, What I'm Loving Kid Lit 1, Bryant Pinkney, Brian Pinkney. I highlighted his work before. It was fantastical comic strip like picture book. And so when I saw that there was more, I just love his work. I love his work, and what I really want to do. So if you ever see this, Brian Pinkney, and I know your wife, Andrea Davis Pinkney, through Twitter and all of that stuff. But if you ever see this, I would just love to see you do an illustration. I would love that. But one of the reasons why I would love to see him do the illustrations is because the way these images look just baffle me and intrigue me, and I am just in awe of the way that illustrations look on the page. So this is Max Found 2 Sticks by Brian Pinkney. Max Found 2 Sticks. And this book is beautiful. There's something he does with the brush stroke that makes you, it looks like the images have like the bristles moving through almost, I don't know if it's a pencil sketch. If any illustrators are out there, tell me what method, what strategy he's using to make these illustrations. I would love to know. But it's really great. There's rhythm all throughout it. Dum dee dum dum dum. Rhythm all throughout it. It's a really great story. Of course, it shows an urban environment, but it's a bit fantastical. It is a bit fantastical, and I like that. I want to find a page for you where you see this brushstroke concept. This might be one. We see a lot of movement in that image. A lot of movement in the image. Almost like you have to look at it very closely to see all of what the image is portraying. I love that. I love that. All the mixture of colors, muted tones, but then vibrant tones that kind of come up to the surface. I love that. I feel like a lot of the illustrations are, okay, when you were a kid, or when I was a kid, and even when my kids were kids, they would do this where you would color all of these different colors into a square, maybe. Color, layering color, black, blue, red, yellow, green, all of these colors layered onto a square. And then you could take anything, a pencil, lead, or a stick, or a toothpick, and you would design your picture, and all of those colors would kind of fuse out and layer out. That's how I feel like these illustrations are. And so they also have this sort of abstract Picasso thing to the images of the faces. So there's one of those images. So I'm so fascinated by the artwork. I'm also fascinated that they're framed. They have a frame around them. They don't bleed all the way to the page, through the page, the edges of the page. I'm interested in that process. And then there are some fantastical pieces to the story that keeps kids engaged and watching and wondering and turning the page on what happens next. So I love that it's movement in the words and rhythm in the words, but it's also movement and rhythm in the illustration. So this is Max Found 2 Sticks by Brian Pinkney. All right. Now I have another Brian Pinkney, and this is what I'm loving. I'm telling you, I love this book. I love this book. I think it should win. I'm telling you, I gotta talk to some folks, because it should be winning the Coretta Scott King. It should be winning the Newbery. It is a wonderful book. I need to contact some folks. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. One of the reasons why I love it, is because I was a longtime middle school teacher. And when you have, let's just be real struggling, reluctant readers, picture books can be a gateway into them. And you don't do it where everybody got the 300, 400, 500 page novel, and you slide somebody a picture book to embarrass them like they can't, because books have street cred at the middle school level. But what you do is you infuse in your programs or in your lessons days where everyone is reading picture books. Everyone is developing papers or stories or critique essays or persuasive essays around picture books. And you slide, certain books, you assign certain books to certain reluctant readers that you know will help capture them in maybe pursuing to read more by that author or that illustrator. So I truly believe in the power of picture books. Truly believe in the power of picture books. And I believe that they transcend age and skill level and development. So yeah, we use picture books a lot in that early literacy emergent reader development time period, but I think picture books should be transcended. It should be transcended, and it should go, 8th graders can enjoy them. You can do lesson plans with high schoolers, some of those very difficult topics such as the Holocaust or difficult topics around war. Many picture books are an easy, more palpable way to have a gateway into your reader understanding those issues, all right? Understanding those issues. So this is just wonderful for reluctant readers who may be a little bit older. It is all about a family that lives on Mars. They live on Mars! Oh my goodness, it is so good. They live on Mars. They live on Mars. Okay, they live on Mars, and they're a space family. They are a space family, and they do all things space. I just loved it. I felt like it was such an original concept. It was so just wonderful. African-American family that lives on Mars. I know, I keep saying it. It does have that brushstroke technique that you really notice in the beginning, but then you become so immersed in that story and the adventure and the conflict that kind of falls away a little bit. Oh, and it's just a page turner. It's a page turner. It is so good. It's wonderful. It is wonderfully written. It's just a wonderful story. And Cosmo and the Robot. Cosmo, the kid's name is Cosmo. Just love it. So these are features in the back. It's wonderful. And this is one of the books that I am loving. Cosmo and the Robot by Brian Pickney. Cosmo and the Robot by Brian Pickney. The crew is coming in without being quiet, of course. So there are just a couple of images I want to show you. I'm not going to show you most because I want you to go out and buy this book. It is so good. Definitely go out and buy this book. But here is one of the images. Here's one of the images, and it's red. Why is it red? Because it's a black family that lives on Mars. Okay, so that's really cool about this book. And then there's one other piece. In the back, this is the best thing ever. In the back, it says Super Solar System Utility Belt with supersonic attachments. And it gives a glossary of all of the supersonic attachments that were on his utility belt. It's just fabulous. It's fabulous. Go and get this book, Cosmo and the Robot. Cosmo and the Robot. Fabulous book for you to enjoy with your young one. Reluctant reader. It's wonderful. All right, thank you so much for joining me on Pizzo's Perfection. I hope you found some books that you'll go out and purchase